Hey there! Thanks for tuning in to S News. If you want to stay up to date with the latest stories and in-depth analysis, make sure you follow us. Support us by subscribing, liking, and dropping your thoughts in the comments. It really helps us keep bringing you more content like this.
The world was once again stunned by US President Donald Trump's sharp remarks, which echoed right into the heart of the Kremlin. This wasn't just a war of words. It was an outright threat that could shatter human civilization, nuclear war. Yes, Trump openly beat the drums of the one war humanity fears most, a direct nuclear clash between the world's two superpowers, the United States and Russia.
This wasn't a drill or a mere provocation. It was a new chapter blurring the line between warning and real destruction. The shocking statement came when Trump responded to aggressive comments from Dmitry Medvedev, the former Russian president and now deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council. In a cutting tone, Trump said that when Medvedev talks about nuclear weapons, America has to be ready. Then, in cold, bold words, he stressed one thing: we're ready. It was like a siren warning of the end of the world.
This wasn't his only threat. On July 29th, Trump gave the Kremlin a final ultimatum. Russia had 10 days to agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine, or the US would impose 100% economic tariffs. But as the deadline approached, Moscow stayed silent, calm and unflinching, as if it was used to this kind of standoff. No changes, no concessions, just an eerie quiet, the kind you see before a storm.
Medvedev fired back harshly on X, dismissing the warning in a cold, almost mocking tone. We're not Iran or Israel. We don't care about 50 days or 10 days. He went further, saying that if Trump really wanted to turn his threat into reality, the conflict wouldn't just be about Russia and Ukraine, it would directly and fully involve the United States.
What we're seeing isn't just a diplomatic power struggle, it's a boiling point. Hostility wrapped in fragile negotiations and high-stakes economic pressure. Neither Washington nor Moscow showed any signs of backing down. The world held its breath, knowing that a single mistake, a misunderstanding, or a selfish move could ignite a catastrophe for the next generation. Now the question isn't if war will break out, but who will light the fuse first. Tensions between these two world leaders have reached a frightening level.
After Trump's harsh comments on Russia's trade ties with India, Dmitry Medvedev dropped a bombshell of his own, describing Russia's dead hand system, an automated nuclear launch mechanism that activates only if the country suffers a massive nuclear strike. No human orders, no buttons to press. If Russia is destroyed, the system guarantees a global wipeout. Medvedev wasn't just responding to Trump. He was throwing down a strategic threat straight out of Cold War military manuals.
But Trump didn't back off. He came back with an even tougher message, announcing that 2 US nuclear submarines were stationed in strategic positions near Russia. His motive was clear. He believed Medvedev's words weren't just empty talk. Trump declared that America wouldn't hesitate to act to protect itself. The world now realizes this has turned into a silent duel beneath the surface. One wrong step could end everything.
When Trump revealed he had sent submarines near Russia, the big questions came fast. What kind of submarines? How close were they really?
There was no official word from the Pentagon. Some defense analysts even suggested Trump's claim might be more political than factual. Given how closely US nuclear fleet movements are monitored, especially submarines, Trump's statement stirred major concern.
It's not just about whether the submarines are there, it's about the rising level of global threats. Was he talking about a nuclear-armed submarine or just a regular nuclear-powered vessel? Those are two very different things.
Still, because Trump mentioned them in the context of preparing for a possible showdown with Russia, many suspect he meant a ballistic missile submarine capable of carrying nuclear warheads. The US has more than a dozen active ballistic missile subs, and among all its nuclear weapons systems, these are the deadliest and most secretive, operating deep underwater, carrying missiles that can wipe out cities from over 12,000 kilometers away.
As one of the strongest candidates in this context, we're talking about a massive 4-deck submarine with a crew of 90, a Martin-made sonar probe, 2 turbines, and a nuclear reactor as its main power source. This vessel can stay deep underwater for months and carry up to 24 Trident II missiles, each capable of carrying nuclear warheads.
More than just a war machine, the Ohio-class submarine is the backbone of America's nuclear arsenal. one of the three pillars of US strategic nuclear power, along with land-based missiles and strategic bombers. The Trident submarine design ensures that if one leg of the nuclear triad is attacked, the other two can still strike back. It's a system built to guarantee that any attack on the United States will be met with total destruction.
Right now, no one knows exactly where the two submarines in question are. Maybe the Arctic Ocean near the Norwegian Sea, or even farther out in the North Pacific. But one thing is certain, Senator Trump's threat isn't just aimed at Russia. It's a warning to the whole world. America is ready if the nuclear button is ever pressed.
Meanwhile, Dmitry Medvedev answered Trump's threats with sharp words and biting sarcasm. President Vladimir Putin took a different approach, calmer but honestly no less firm. In his statement, he didn't respond directly to Trump's threat. Instead, he criticized unrealistic expectations that would only lead to disappointment. This was a subtle but pointed jab at Trump's ceasefire ultimatum. Putin kept stressing his desire for a stable, lasting peace in Ukraine, but he made it clear that peace must work for both sides, not just one. More importantly, it must guarantee Russia's security in a tangible way. There were no offers of compromise, no signs of weakness. The Kremlin showed no panic, no deterrence. Trump's threat, they saw, was purely political, not something to be answered recklessly. Still, when it comes to Russia's nuclear power, the world knows one thing: this country doesn't joke around. Take the K-564 Arkhangelsk, for example, a Yasen-M class nuclear-powered cruise missile submarine and one of Russia's most advanced underwater combat assets.
It can dive to depths of 600 meters, travel underwater at 31 knots, and stay at sea for up to 100 days without surfacing. Its 64-person crew is combat-ready.
The Arkhangelsk is armed with 533.3mm torpedoes and vertical launch cruise missiles, including Onyx and Zircon missiles, all of which can be fitted with nuclear warheads.
On top of that, Russia has started deploying its nuclear forces abroad. One of the most notable moves was placing hypersonic missiles in Belarus, a clear signal to NATO that Russia's next step won't just be defensive, but offensive too.
Last year, the Rudoleznik missile system was used to strike military facilities in pro-Ukrainian territory. And remember, this weapon can travel at speeds that allow it to break through any Western missile defense system.
Now all we can do is wait to see whether this ends up on the diplomatic table or escalates into a conflict that can't